So let's do a quick overview of the features that you get to enjoy as a TransInterp subscriber. Here in the user dashboard, you have the welcome screen here that shows you some basic stats. You have the number of translation training sessions you've had, the interpretation sessions, and your total CPD time. This is the total time that you have spent either doing a translation or interpreting session or watching video content from the platform. So this stat shows you the total amount of time spent building yourself and growing your skills on the platform. And as you can see, we have this very straightforward navigation system where all the features are stacked up on this left panel. So now let's review the features, and we're not necessarily going to follow the order in the navigation panel. So let's start with interpretation training. The TransInterp interpretation training session feature lets you have practice sessions in the three primary modes of interpretation: consecutive, simultaneous, and sites translation. So you have the left panel here where you can select the mode, then you select your language pair, the subject matter, and of course you can enter a custom subject matter, the difficulty level, even though this is not yet very accurate, but we're still working on it, and the duration of the session, and the video source, which can be automatic or manual via a YouTube URL. We recommend using the manual URL method because it is more consistent and it is more stable. So let's start with a site translation session. So once we've selected the site translation mode and we have our language pairs selected, and we can define the subject matter, then we simply click on Start Site Translation Session. And as you can see, after a few seconds, the system generates a text in the source language and subject matter that you have selected. And there is a Start Recording button here that you press when you're ready to start translating. So let's click the button. Now, for the sake of demonstration, I'm just going to read a couple of sentences from the generated text, and we're going to see what happens next. In recent years, the escalating concerns regarding climate change have underscored the critical necessity for sustainable environmental practices. One prominent area of focus is the reduction of carbon emissions, which are primarily produced by fossil fuel consumption and industrial processes. Governments worldwide have begun implementing policies aimed at transitioning to renewable energy sources such as wind, solar, and hydropower. Now, of course, I was reading in English, but we're supposed to be site translating into French here, all right? So let's assume that that was an amazing French site translation. And we are done. So we can click on Stop Recording. And as soon as we do that, there is a button here that lets you download your file. And when you click the Submit button, the system saves the entire session, and you can both listen to your recorded session or download it later on at any time. How it works. Now, for the sake of demonstration, I'm just going to read a couple of sentences from the generated text, and we're going to see what happens next. So you can see that the site translation performance has been recorded, and at the bottom of the page, you can find some professional site translation tips to help you get better at this exercise. Now let's click Submit to log this in our sessions list, and then we click End Session. Now, clicking the End Session button takes you back to the interpretation training homepage. Now, let's go to simultaneous interpretation practice. Once the simultaneous mode is selected, and we have our language pair selected as well, we recommend using the manual mode. Now, when you use manual mode, there's no need to select the subject matter, because the subject matter will be decided by the link that you provide to the system. So manual mode, and you get your link from the YouTube video that you want to work with, and you paste it here, and then you click Start Interpretation Session. Now, immediately the system is going to pull the video from YouTube, and you can click Play Video to start the video. Now, remember that as soon as you click Play Video, the recording starts automatically. You don't have to click on Start Recording.
That's no secret. From issues of mass extinction to the threat of extinction.
So as soon as the video starts playing, you have to start interpreting. When you're done, you can now click on Start Recording, upon which, like we saw with site translation, your interpretation audio appears here. The recording starts automatically, and you can download it or submit it so that it gets logged in your session records. Here you also have some general tips that will help you continue to improve your skills in interpreting. Once you're done, you can click on End Session. The system is the same for consecutive interpretation. You simply select the video source here, auto select or manual. Now, what does auto select mean? Auto select, when you select this option, the system tries to automatically select a video from YouTube based on the settings that you have provided. However, sometimes the system pulls a video that has embed restrictions, and so the platform's player will not be allowed to read it. You won't face this problem with the manual selection. Now back to the dashboard, and now let's quickly look at how translation training works. It is pretty straightforward. All you have to do is select source language and a field, and of course you can decide to be more specific. So you can select the custom option here to go laser sharp on the domain that you want to practice with. So once the language pair and subject matter are set, you simply click Generate Practice Text. And after a few seconds, you have your source text in the selected source language, and you have a translation box here where you're going to type your translation. Now, let's pretend that we translated this. All right, so here's our translation provided by DeepL. And then once we're done with the translation, we simply click on Save Translation. And upon clicking on this button, we have the system returns a basic stats such as completion time, which is interesting to measure your work speed, and the total word count. At the bottom of the page, the platform provides professional level tips on how to get better at the craft of translation. Once you're done with the session, as always, click on End Session, and this session has been logged in your sessions records. Now, let's head over to the sessions records. Here in the My Sessions tab, you can see all your past sessions. So here's the translation session that we just completed. So both source text and stats and target text stay saved and stored in your account. As for interpreting sessions, they also stay saved. For simultaneous interpretation, you won't have the video here. All you'll have is the title of the YouTube video, and of course you can always use this title to go back to YouTube and refer to the original video. But most importantly, the recording of your performance is available, and you can download it in a special format that is called WebM, which can be read by the VLC media player. So when it's a side translation practice session, you have the original text generated by the system for the exercise, and you have your audio, which can be listened to or downloaded. Okay, now let's move over to the My Vocabulary tab. This is a very handy feature that allows you to store your newly learned words and your specialized terminology. To add a new term, you simply have to click on Add New Term, select the source and target languages, select the field, and of course, if you don't see the specific field that you need, there is an Other option. And then enter the source term and the target term. You can add some context if need be, and then click Add Term. And immediately the system creates a beautiful card that you can edit or delete. Now your terms are searchable. And results are displayed instantly, ensuring that you get super fast access to your saved terms when you need them. Now, one amazing feature, which is going to come in very handy for interpreters in particular, but also for translators, whenever you have to work in low connectivity conditions, or maybe sometimes without internet connection at all, your terms remain available and searchable as long as you do not close your computer or put it to sleep. So let's run the test here. Let's go to airplane mode for a second. So as soon as we're offline, the system recognizes that connectivity has been lost, and it says you're viewing cached vocabulary, and you can search through your cached vocabulary terms. But of course, you can't add, edit, or delete terms without an internet connection. So here we're offline, there's no internet, but all our terms remain perfectly searchable with the same speed of display. Meaning that if you're in the booth and you want to have access to your terms and you suddenly lose internet connectivity, the platform has got you covered. All your terminology remains available and remains searchable and easily retrievable. Now let's get back online. All right. As soon as we're back online, the offline messaging disappears. Now, if you want to share your terms or export them, you can download them as a CSV file. And you can also use the filter function if you want to view or study terms per subject or per language. Your terms get filtered in real time depending on the filter settings that you display. And you can click the Clear All button to clear all filters. That's it for the vocabulary and terminology feature on transinterp.com. After the vocabulary tab, you have the resources tab. This is where you can find all the videos, the tutorials, the masterclasses that are available as part of your subscription, with new videos added regularly. You can search videos by title, or you can simply filter them using the categories that are listed in this drop-down. As you can see, TransInterp provides a very clean interface for watching and searching through all the video content that is available. To view a video, you can simply click on the card, and clicking the play button opens the video in a pop-up. Or you can click on the View Details button to go to the dedicated video page where you can see more information if it is provided. For example, a longer description whenever one is needed. And of course, from here, you can start the video and play it in full screen. Next up, you have the goals feature. We decided to add a goals feature to the platform to help you stay motivated and to give you a means of tracking your development and your business goals. You have 4 tabs down here where you can see your active goals, your completed goals, paused goals, and all goals, meaning both active and completed goals. At the top of the page, you have basic statistics that show you the total goals, the number of completed goals versus the total, and then the number of active goals and the number of paused goals. Now, let's quickly look at how to create a new goal. You can set a goal related to the number of training sessions you want to have on the platform. You can set an income goal. You can set a reading goal, CPD hours, certifications goal. You can set a goal relating to the number of new clients you want to have, goals concerning rate increase, and then of course a custom goal. Here, let's create a reading goal, for example. Let's call it read 20 books this year, for example. The system automatically defines a target unit depending on the type of goals that you have selected. And then here you have to enter the target value, which is 20. And you can optionally set a deadline for your goal. And then create goal. And there you go. Here's your new goal. It appears both in the under the All tab and the Active tab. Once you've made some progress on the goal, you can click on the Update button down here and enter the number that corresponds to the progress that you've made relative to the goal. So here I've added 4 books and it says I'm 20% done. The goal is 20% complete. There's a complete button here that lets you mark the goal completed. But once you've logged the value that matches the final goal, the goal is going to be labeled completed automatically. Of course, you can delete goals, you can edit them, and we hope that this is a nice little feature that will help you stay focused and motivated. Thanks for watching. We hope you thoroughly enjoy this platform.